Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Reva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpalam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva bandhuscha sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyadravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is it too warm in here?
I'm fine.
I'm fine as well.
Okay, because we can turn on the fan if you wish. So, do we have Ganesh?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hari Om Ganesh.
Hari Om.
So, we are in the wonderful 13 verses, which all end with, or most end with the frame, meditate on this in your mind. This is that Brahman. So, which verse are we on this evening, Mark?
258.
258. Will you help? I would like some air. Can you reach behind you and just flip it? 258. Would you help us, Ganesh?
Janma vriddhi parinatya pakshaya vyadhinashana vihinam avyayam vishvasrishtya vishvasrishtya vidhata karanam brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That which is changeless and so free from birth, growth, development, waste, disease, and death, which is indestructible and the cause for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe. That Brahman thou art. Meditate on this in your mind.
So again, we have this function in the subtle intellect, which Shankar is called Karta, the doer, the agent. So I, Jim, went to the symphony today. I, Jim, had Wendy's galette, is that what it's called?
Yes.
For dinner tonight. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you see that that's a function in the intellect. It is the coordinating mechanism. It's not self. So with these verses, what we're invited to do, slow down the mind, tune up the mind. And then with the attentive faculty, turn within. See whether or not, in fact, there's a Wendy or an Atik or a Jim in there, or not. And what Shankar is saying is what you will find is Chid Akasha, the space of consciousness. And in these verses, he gives us ideas that point to it. So let's parse this first. What was the first idea, Ganesh, please?
That which is changeless.
Yes. Check to see whether you ever undergo a change. So some of us may think, oh, in the past, I was not a very nice person. I had these bad habits and I treated those people badly. And now I'm a better person. I'm striving to live as my better self. At the level of the ego, that's perfectly laudable. But that's not what Shankar is talking about. You never change. Don't believe me? In a quiet mind, as you go through the day, stop and see, am I ever any different? Or is that self an unchanging? Prove or disprove it. Laboratory of your own experience. Next idea, Ganesh.
Free from birth, growth, development, waste, disease, and death.
Yes. All those are qualities of the body. But when the body was a child, I knew it. When I went through adolescence, I knew it. When I did all the stupid things adolescents do, I knew it. Now I'm an adult. Hopefully, I'm a little more responsible. Who knows it? I do. Some of us are, what we were saying, golden years,
Yes.
platinum years, sagging years,
Wrinkly.
wrinkly years. But do we not know the changes in the body? So many people as they age will say, but I'm still me. I haven't changed. I'm still that teenager inside. No, you're not a teenager inside. You're God inside. But it feels like I'm the same me I've always been. That's right. You are. But it's not an 18 or a 20-year-old. It's birthless, changeless, deathless. Nonsense, Jim. I was born in 1948. That's when I was born. Can you prove that? That yourself came into existence then? Well, I don't remember anything before that. You don't remember anything from last year. Did you cease to exist? What is today? The 18th of April?
Think so?
Yeah. What were you doing 10 years ago on the 18th of April? Do you know, Atik?
No.
But you were there. You have had no experience of the sensation, the experience. Sensation, experience. Language falls short of I-ing. Memory is no test of identity. Next idea.
Indestructible.
Now, as we make our way through life, many of us have had calamities. War, in some people's cultures, disease, financial ruin, disability, but none of it ever touches honor. May I use you as an example?
Sure.
Okay, so you were a successful restaurateur, 2 restaurants. You were doing this yoga at the time.
Mhm.
Were you in the middle of Rivoli?
Yes.
And then COVID came along and Rivoli died.
Mhm.
Did you stop being you?
No.
Are you still you?
Yes.
Were you destroyed when Rivoli died?
No.
You might have been sad,
Yeah.
but that's a feeling which you know. And I tell you, once you see the indestructible nature of yourself, fear leaves us. The root of fear is somehow I'm going to fall into some abyss and be destroyed, or at least beat up a whole lot. But no, self is indestructible. Don't believe me. Next idea.
Which is the cause for creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe.
So, where do your thoughts come from?
No idea.
Yeah. They wave out of awareness itself. That's what the mind is. It's the awareness of the flow of thoughts. Waves come out of the unmanifest, exist, thoughts do, and then go back. That's a microcosm of the infinite. Yourself is not a part of Brahman. Yourself is. Next idea.
That's it.
That's it. Next verse.
So first is
Yes.
myself is not a part of Brahman. Is my body a part of Brahman?
Very good question. So we talk about Brahman without qualities, which is always the pure subject. And then we talk about Brahman with qualities, the world of name and form. This becomes easy to understand if we go to the dream state. You are the god of your dream. So when you have a dream, first thing that happens is the veil of deep sleep comes upon you. The non-apprehension of yourself is the waker. Then your mind projects the dream. And in the dream, you have a dream body and a dream ego identified with it, and a dream world outside, and dream thoughts and feelings inside. So is the dream body different than, say, the dream car in your dream?
Feels like it.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's certainly different objects. But you step back and from the viewpoint of the waker, both are just imaginations in your mind. It's nothing but your mind appearing as dream body, dream car. Did that make sense?
Yes.
You are the god of your dream. Macrocosm. All of this has as its material cause consciousness. Now, is a couch separate from a Wendy that's separate from a table? At the level of transaction, of course it is. But what's the real material that the couch, the Wendy, and the table are made of. Consciousness. All this is nothing but the play of consciousness. It is like a very long, very vivid dream. Does that make it a little clearer?
Yes.
Good question. Next verse.
Astabhedam Anapastalakshanam Nistaran Gajalarashinischlam Nityamuktam Avibhaktamurtiyat Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani. That which is free from all distinctions, which is never of the nature of non-existence, which is calm like an ocean without waves, which is ever free and is of indivisible form. That Brahman thou art. Meditate on this in your mind.
Yeah. So the first idea.
Free from all distinctions.
Yes. So in the world of name and form, we have distinctions. A couch is different from a table, which is different than a lamp. Then the mind projects value. The couch is too soft, I don't like it. Wendy is nice and soft, I like it. We have value judgments. All that is only of the world of name and form. The self is vast and empty. There's nothing there. No thing. Next idea.
Never of the nature of non-existence.
So everything in the world of name and form has prior non-existence, current existence, then subsequent non-existence. Some point, the water glass did not exist. Some company made the water glass. I have a tendency to break them, then they become non-existent again. But yourself is never of the nature of non-existence. Now, the Buddhists say there is no self. This was Buddha's way of dealing with the Hindu idea. Jivatman, Paramatman, Purusha, all these ideas. Is ultimate reality an individual? And does something happen to the individual? Does it go from incarnation to incarnation? Does it go to Brahmalok and then get released at the end of time and all that kind of business? And the Buddha said, just stop it. There is no self. Some people who are only Buddhistic scholars think the Buddha meant there is no ground of being. There's no ultimate reality. That is not his teaching. It's not his teaching.
It's a misunderstanding.
Yes. Now, I have gotten this from a very deep Buddhist practitioner who got it from his teacher, a Thai Buddhist nun who has a monastery in San Diego. It's the Thai forest tradition that she comes from. And what she says is identical with the Vedanta. The way we would frame that is there is no solid thing called the individuality, what the Sanskrit is called the jiva. This is why Gaudapada uses the term jiva bhavana, the attitude or the feeling that I'm a person. That isn't so. That isn't real. It is non-existent. There is no person as a solid entity that's real. But you are not that. Who are you? What are you? Vast, empty space of pure awareness. There's no person there, absolutely. But you are never of the nature of non-existence. And here's the way to understand it. If the self didn't exist, who would know that? You can know something is. Can you see the phone in my hand?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see there is no phone in my hand?
Yes.
Is there a phone in the bedroom?
I don't know.
How do you know that you don't know?
No.
Because you are not there.
Yes.
You know that you do not know. You are not there. But you have positive knowledge of your ignorance. But if you were to not be, who would be there to know it? Do you see that? It's absolutely unverifiable. That's like saying, oh, there's green pea soup outside the phenomenal universe. How do you know that?
You don't? I can't.
You can't know that. Our senses cannot know anything beyond the phenomenal universe. What do I know about what's beyond the phenomenal universe? I have the faintest idea. But I cannot positively say there is nothing beyond the phenomenal universe. Nor can I say there's pea soup beyond the phenomenal universe. So for those Shunyavadins, we call them, scholiasts of the void, who say there's no self, ultimate reality is nothing, doesn't exist. It is absolutely unverifiable. And if they say, well, that's what the Buddha taught, and I have faith in what the Buddha taught. Well, one of the things we always do in the spiritual life, anything that you cannot verify by direct experience is superstition. Ruthlessly reject anything that you believe by faith. Blind faith is stupid faith and will fail us in a crisis. Now, what is that by which everything is known, without which nothing can be known, and beyond which there is nothing to know? I. never of the nature of non-existence. Don't believe it. Prove or disprove it. Oh, Jim, I don't exist on Tuesdays. That's absurd. How do you know you don't exist? Next idea.
Which is calm like an ocean without waves.
So it's like the center of a cyclone. At the most outer part of it, where the wind is just blah, 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 the phenomenal world with all its chaos. More subtle, my interior world of thoughts and feelings, that can be pretty chaotic too. Down to my ideas, my ego, am I okay, am I not okay? But then if I can really quieten the mind, introvert my attention, notice the knower itself, absolute stillness. No sorrow reaches there. Next idea.
Ever free.
Yes. This is a very important point. Bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. What is my bondage? My bondage is nothing more than the deeply rooted conviction I'm right. And I'm bound, meaning I'm my body, or my body plus the personality. And with that is a constant feeling of discontent and restlessness. What is moksha, liberation? It is nothing more than the deeply rooted conviction based on direct experience in the subtle intellect. The buddhi is going to become buddha, awake. Not that I was bound and now I'm free. I was a fool and now I'm an enlightened person. No. We have the recognition. Oh, the self in me has never been bound. It was just a long, vivid dream. You don't get a new self. You don't get a better self. Who sees the phone?
I do.
That's yourself. The problem is, I superimpose on that direct experience all sorts of nonsense.
So that's where I say, oh, I, body, I, teeth, through my eyes, see the phone. That's all the superimposition on top of the self.
The body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, all of that is superimposition. And what we need to do is prove it. Where does that proof take place? In my mind. The self is ever free. What was the term that he do? Nitya Mukta?
Yeah, Nitya Mukta.
Nitya Mukta. Nitya means forever, eternally. Free. Just like, no matter how terrifying the nightmare is, you dreamt you murdered someone and you're going off to prison for the rest of your life. Then you wake up. The dreamer did not get out of jail. When you wake up, you go, oh my God, thank God that was just a dream. I have always been safe in my bed. So also, look and see if any of the vicissitudes of life ever really touch you. And then we have the refrain after that, or do we have another idea?
Of indivisible form.
Yes. So my nature, my form is vijnana ghanam, a homogeneous mass of consciousness, indivisible. Sometimes it's almost like it's a little point, like peep out through the senses. Sometimes when I, as it were, look behind my eyes, it's just so vast. It's actually without dimension. You are outside of time and space. All right, next verse.
Ekamev sadaneka karanam karanantaranirasa karanam karya karana vilakshanam swayam brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That which, even though it is one existence, is the cause for the many, which refutes all the other causes but itself is without a cause, which is distinct from cause and effect and is independent. That Brahman thou art, meditate on this in your mind.
Yes. So, just as when you are the dreamer, the mind of you, the waker, is the cause of the people, places, things in the dream, the triple factor of knower, knowing, and known. So you, consciousness, is the cause of all this. Sankalpena, by means of imagination. But you are without a cause. Nothing has caused you. I am Atma, Brahma. This self is Brahma. Eternally existing consciousness in which universes rise and fall. And in the end, cause and effect is imaginary. My favorite example. Anybody here have flying dreams? Yes, no? I think Freud would have a heyday. They knew I had flying dreams. But of course, because I'm an old school mark, I teach flying in my dreams. I can remember I had a dream there was like these dozen people in front of me. And I said, flying is controlled falling. It's all in the breath. Doesn't that sound just like me?
It so does.
And then I went, we all levitated.
Oh.
And then we were like flying over the trees and kind of sliding around. So there was cause and effect in the dream. If you breathe a particular way, it lets you fly. But was that cause and effect real? Well, it was real to the dreamer.
Yeah.
So in this world, of course, we have assumed cause and effect. You flip the switch, the fan comes on. I turn the light switch, the light comes on. You put gas in the car the car runs. You don't put a quarter in a parking meter, you get a parking ticket. Cause and effect. But every spiritual and religious tradition has stories, many of them documented, of great saints and sages seeming to do things that defy our understanding of physics. I have a dear friend who's Irish. He's now a psychotherapist, but he used to be a priest.
Mm.
And he remembers going to Lourdes with a bunch of people. And one of the other, do you know what Lourdes is, Atik?
No.
It's a place in France where there was an appearance of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Okay.
And a lot of people get healed by going there.
They have water that you get in. It's
Yeah.
supposed to heal you.
So he was there, and there were all these people with all these ailments. And for some reason, somebody asked him to push this woman in a wheelchair. And she said, "Oh, I can feel your healing, Father." And this woman had been crippled for years and years and years and years. And as she gets close to the spring, she just gets up out of the wheelchair.
This happened to him.
Happened to him. Wow. And he did nothing. She thought it was all him. But the point is, what did the Master Jesus say? Thy faith has made thee whole. It's her faith, her belief. But the point is, it defied our understanding of medicine and physics. And there's just too many things. The stories of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. What happened to him in Jerusalem on the Temple Mount? What's the story?
Like he was sleeping in his bed. He was flown there by the angels, went up to the heavens, came back down.
Was it true? Who's to say?
I wasn't there.
Or Jesus. I mean,
Yes.
lots of miracles
Yes.
When Moses split the water, I think so, right?
Oh,
there. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
Jesus walked on water.
And in India, we have so many stories of saints doing things that seem to defy our understandings of the material world. And the reason they can do this is that we have not only physical laws, we have metaphysical laws. Because the world is plastic. There's no real cause effect. It's just what we all agree on. Believe it. Enough on that. So the whole idea is even cause and effect. It's nothing but imagination. Once upon a time, there was a prince who was the child of a queen who was barren. And then he got on a horse that didn't exist and flew to the castle in the air and had to swim across a moat that had no water in it. Do all these things exist? Do they?
Don't know.
Well, they exist as mental images.
Right.
As I was telling you the story, were you imagining it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they exist as
Oh,
sankalpa.
wow.
But do they really exist?
No.
This is not. This is not. And we can see the power of belief. The Republican Party now has a litmus test for anybody who's going to be on the Republican Central Committee. You have to believe that Joe Biden stole the 2020 election. These people really believe it. I'm not going to say whether he did or not, but we know how powerful, even in our ordinary lives, belief can be. All right, next idea.
It is one existence is the cause for the many, which refutes all other causes, but itself is without a cause,
Yeah, we've done that.
which is distinct from cause and effect and is independent. That's it.
Okay, next verse.
Nirvikalpakam analpamaksharam yataksharaksara vilakshanam param nityam avyayasukham niranjanam brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That which is free from Maya, which is infinite and indestructible, which is other than the world of change, which is supreme and eternal, which is permanent and indivisible bliss, untainted, that Brahman thou art. Meditate on this in your mind.
And here he's used the word nirvikalpo. And he's done this deliberately. Nirvikalpa is a loaded word in yoga. It has two very important meanings. The more usual, the more common usage has to do with an experience, the mind state of the absolute cessation of the mind. When the last thought is thoughted before the next thought starts thoughting. When all the vasanas have been roasted, when the mind thunders to a stop, the individuality explodes and disappears. Only aham, I. Then when the mind returns from nirvikalpa samadhi, it is permanently conditioned. And you know, without a doubt, you're not a person. That's one meaning of nirvikalpa. The scriptures say nirvikalpa is when the distinction between knower, knowing, and known is all merged. The other meaning of nirvikalpa has to do what it is a description of you. How do you know you are you? Are you you? Uh-huh. Who knows it? I do. What is the means of knowledge? Do you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself? Nope. If you think the Lord, yeah, I mean, that's not it. That's not the direct experience. And what is known? You do not know yourself as an object. Oh, there's myself, it just went by. No. You are not unknown. How do you know it? I don't know, I just know it. That's right. So the distinction between knower, knowing, and known is merged as you. So Shankara says, you are not in nirvikalpa. You are nirvikalpa. It's another name for the self, where there is no distinction of knower, knowing, and known. So we'll get into that more deeply later on in the text. But now let's parse the ideas as Swamiji's translating them. What's the first one, please?
Nirvikalpakam.
And how does he translate it?
Strangely, he translates it as that which is free from Maya.
Yes. This is an important idea, even though it's more of a poetic translation. One of the things to understand is ignorance never really covers yourself. The self is never deluded, and I can prove it to you. So, who had a really bad day this week or maybe recently? Yes, no?
I did.
You did. We'll use Atik tonight. Okay. Did you cease to exist in the middle of that miserable day?
No.
And were you unhappy? Did you have challenges, miseries?
Sure.
Yeah. Did you know them?
Yes.
Yeah. So even in the midst of that, you may have even had the thought, I am not a realized person, I'm a miserable worm. But you knew that thought and feeling, meaning never did you doubt your existence. Never did you thought, no. Yes, you may have had deep ignorance in your mind, but it never really covered the self. Do you see that?
Yes.
Maya is that which creates all these beings who think they are their bodies. But the self in everything is still Brahman. It is never touched. There was a great 20th century saint, Meher Baba. And one of the things he used to say, everybody's already realized. Don't worry, be happy. Why did he say that? I'm not realized, Meher Baba. What do you mean? Well, actually, everybody really is. The only real knowledge is the self-evidence of the self. Are you you? Mm-hmm. How do you know it? I don't know. I just know it. That's right. That is the only real knowledge. everything else is mine. Next idea.
Infinite.
No edges, no boundaries to you. And I love the way Krishna says it in Gita. In one small portion of my infinite being, the whole universe takes place. Are you more comfortable on the floor?
Yes.
Why don't you come over here?
Okay.
You can take one of the pillows and sit on it if you want.
Okay.
Gotta get it better.
Oh, it's my back. I can't sit for that long.
I know. Are you okay there?
Yes.
So the only real knowledge is our knowledge of ourself. It's just then we get superimpositions over that.
But the self itself never really gets diluted.
Right, because
It's only in the mind.
right. Wow. Wow.
Do you see that?
I totally see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just never heard you say those words that way before. It was like,
I didn't say him, Shankar.
oh, wow. Yeah, because there can be no other knowledge.
The self is never really diluted. It only is in the mind. And in the end, that's the only real knowledge. Next idea.
Which is other than the world of change.
Yeah. So I am the knower of this world of name and form, which we call the Jagat. We call it the Jagat because it goes Jagat, 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 Jagat. Just chugging right along. Always changing. The world of feelings is always changing. That's why people who are looking for some euphoric high, thinking that's what the spiritual life is about, don't believe me. Look to your direct experience. So Wendy was here on Wednesday, making our way through Mandukya Upanishad Karika. You were disappearing the world. What was it you were saying? Something about something visual?
Oh yeah, just a lot of visual stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. This the ephemeral quality of form.
Did it pass?
Absolutely. And it was even going in and out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was like,
It's
whoa,
fun.
and then you're right there. And then
Yeah, it's
whoa.
fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
right. But
You
it's
know,
temporary.
I'm an old druggie. I love to get high, you know? But their mind states.
Yeah.
That's not it. Or the people who have spiritual data wars. You go on Facebook and you see people flaming each other about, you know, I see non-dualism this way, and no, you're being dualistic. Non-dualism is this way. Did you ever see those kinds of things? They're absurd. Oh my, unreal. Completely unreal. Only next idea.
Just supreme and eternal.
All right, next verse.
There's one more. Actually, there's two more, which is permanent and indivisible bliss, and then
Okay.
and untainted.
Okay, so this confuses a lot of us because we have these three ideas that point to the self: Sat, pure existence; Chit, awareness. Ananda literally means bliss absolute. And no matter what mind state a person is, we can show them you are. Chit, you shine as awareness. But for God's sake, Jim, I'm certainly not blissful. I'm pretty miserable here today. And I was really angry yesterday. And I was full of fear the day before that. What's this ananda business? Come on, give me this ananda that's supposed to be the nature of the self. But I thought everything about the nature of self is unchanging and permanent. So how can I get ananda? Will it become permanent? Will I be in a permanent blissed out state? What does ananda mean? So it cannot mean a feeling, because feelings come and go. Nobody loves wackadoodle mind states more than I do. But wackadoodle mind states is not ananda. So what does it mean? So again, let's start by translating ananda as no sorrow reaches there. And why do they call it ananda? And that has to do with our understanding of pleasure itself. Would you prefer a straight back chair?
This is good.
Okay. So remember our Anandamaya kosha?
Mhm.
So in deep sleep, everybody loves deep sleep. Why? No projecting mind. We experience the Anandamaya kosha in two places. Whenever I satisfy a desire and in deep sleep. What happens when I satisfy a desire? The craving is momentarily alleviated. The Vikshepa Shakti is gone. So we call it Ananda, the fountainhead, the wellspring, the real source of all joy. Because when the mind comes home to the self, the mind is blissful. I get the juice, the taste. And the problem with the world is not good or bad. The world is shunyata. The world is void. I attribute, as an ego, joy-giving and misery-producing qualities to it. And what happens? You know, where I'm sure you guys only did this when you were young teenagers. You looked at the magazine with the girly pictures in it, maybe on your phone. Was there any real woman there? Or boy? There was nothing there except pixels or spots of ink. All in my mind. That's all this world is. Cosmic porno. That's all it is. All it is. And what do? Bring my mind momentarily into a state free from longing. The neat thing about yourself is you are always available. Wherever you go, there you are. You don't cost anything. Won't rot your liver. You don't have to look your best. So I have to be very careful with this word ananda. We use it as a description of the self. Any questions about this understanding?
Well, I see you say no sorrow touches here, and when longing is gone, there is no sorrow, because that is the only suffering.
Yes.
This desire for things to be different than they are.
And we prove that every night in deep sleep. I don't care how bad your problems are. Where do they go in deep sleep?
Gone.
So it proves you must have a mind in order to be miserable.
Yeah.
Your mind is not necessary in order to be blissful. Next idea.
That's it. Untainted.
Verse.
Did we get untainted?
Yes, no taint, no spots, no dirt. Next verse.
Yadvibhati sadanekadha brahman namarupa gunavikriyatmanam hemavat swayam avikrayam sada brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That one reality which appears variously because of delusion, though itself always unchanged, and assumes names and forms, qualities and changes, like gold through all its modifications, that Brahman thou art. Meditate on this in your mind.
So the idea here is just as gold is the material cause for various ornaments, clay is the material cause for various containers. All the names and forms of this world are nothing but consciousness apparently assuming all these names and forms. Again, like the dream, in your dream it is your one mind that becomes the various people, places, things, and conditions. But also we can use the classic image of the pratibimba. Bimba is a mirror. Pratibimba is the reflection in the mirror. Wendy goes into the bathroom. She looks at herself in the mirror, and there's a lovely young lady. I like this lovely young lady. Can you take the image out of the mirror and take it home with you?
No.
I go into the bathroom. There's a fat old man looking up. Oh, come on, I want to see the attractive young woman. And does the mirror undergo any change? No. Is there really a person in the mirror? No. It's just the nature of silver glass to reflect. It doesn't become anything. Do you see that? Yeah. It's just its nature. When I bring out the crystal ball and I bring out the prayer stone, they're both stone. The granite stone has no capacity to reflect images. Crystal ball, you can see stuff in it. Has the crystal ball become the images?
No.
Has it undergone any change at all? It's just its nature. So some philosophical teachings posit that consciousness goes through what we call spanda. Spanda means vibration. Some of the tantric traditions teach this. Consciousness vibrates, and that's how the world comes into existence. Vedanta says, no. Consciousness never really undergoes any change. It is kutastha, still, absolute, established. Yet, the entire universe appears in it. But nothing really moves.
The vasanas are just another thing that appears in it.
You got it. In the end, they're not real. But, this is a big but, knowing that your vasanas aren't real, knowing that your ego isn't real, knowing that your misery isn't real, intellectually, doesn't do a whole lot to alleviate your suffering. Does that make sense? You get what I call the Vedanta logic loop. Well, it doesn't matter what I do, but I'm really angry, upset, and frightened. So why don't I just shoot heroin? Because it's not real. Makes me feel a lot better. Doesn't matter, it's not real. Then the Vedanta logic loop will just drive you into hell, basically. You need to go through this process. Now we're moving towards a more advanced section of the text. We will go into more deeply about this whole process of vasana purgation, vasana annihilation. It's very important. So go ahead.
Vasanas are real, even though relatively real, and they can be exhausted.
They can be exhausted, yes. And the way you do that, you can work through them. In actuality, that's the karma yoga we were talking about yesterday. But the fastest and subtlest way is when an attachment or an identification arises, using these meditation verses. Remember, the first power of a vasana is that it robs me of self-experience. If I think I'm a person, my mind is covered by vasana. Stop. Remember who you are. And when you have that direct experience, oh yeah, there's nothing there, I am Brahman. At that moment, your mind is free from vasana. Does that make it clearer?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. What verse are we on for next week?
That was 262, and the next one is 263.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.